Hi, my name is Richard Leiter, a self-published author of literary fiction, and welcome to my channel, Thoughts on Writing. So, I've written 2 books in the last 2 years. The first one is called Leaving Home. And the second one, which I just finished, is called In the World, a collection of poems, stories, and reflections. There we go. There. So, after I finished writing my first book, Leaving Home, I thought to myself, okay, I have to write a little author's blurb now, or biography of myself, right? And I couldn't really decide what I'm going to say. Now, in my experience, there are 2 kinds of author's blurbs. The first kind is for famous authors. And in these author blurbs, it lists all of the schools that they've studied writing in and all of the graduate courses they've taken, and all of the grants they've gotten, the awards they've gotten, the NEA, the Ford Foundation Genius Grant, the Guggenheim, and so on and so forth, the Nobel Prize if they've won that, and the list just goes on, and that basically is the blurb. It's a very, very impersonal thing. And since I haven't won any prizes or applied for any prizes or awards or grants or lived in the McDowell colony, I can't really write about that. Haven't won the Nobel Prize. So that's out. So then I'm thinking to myself, okay, there's another type of blurb. And this is usually written by writers who are not so prestigious. It's usually written by self-published authors or just authors who are ordinary, average day guys and gals. Romance writers, science fiction writers, fantasy novelists, and theirs usually goes something like, in my spare time when I am not writing, I like to fish and I like to play checkers, and on the weekends my husband Harry and I love to go antiquing and eat Mexican food. We have 2 beautiful children, and we have a Pomeranian named Thumper, and it goes on like that. Now, I don't think I'd like to write a blurb like that either, because I kind of think they're silly. Whenever I read things like this, I don't really care about the particulars of the author's life, whether they like checkers or chess, or whether they go fishing or deep sea diving. To me, this is just silliness, and it's just wasting everybody's time. It doesn't really give you any kind of an insight into the mind of the author or into the books they've written. So I thought about it, and I decided to do it my way. And here's the blurb that I wrote for the author's bio that I wrote for my first book. Okay, here it is. Richard Leiter lives in a house somewhere. Richard Leiter sits at the computer in his house every day, where he tries to write as well as he can. Most of what he writes is garbage. The extremely small amount which he thinks may not be garbage, he puts away inside of a hanging folder. Then he waits. He just waits. He lets time pass. Sometimes lots of time. Then, when he takes the hanging folder out again and rereads what he has placed inside of it, he realizes that most of that was garbage too. Not all of it, mind you, but almost all of it. Richard Leiter thinks that this is no way to live. Richard Leiter thinks that Plato got it all wrong. Richard Leiter thinks that the examined life is not all that it's cracked up to be. New paragraph. When Richard Leiter is not sitting at the computer in his house trying to write as well as he can, he does the same things which most people do. He has to work for a living, pay bills, get the usual unending stream of junk mail and irritating phone calls from telemarketers asking him for money, and he worries a lot about the direction his life is going in. The last paragraph. Amazingly, it only took Mr. Leiter a mere 20 years to write Leaving Home. He is currently working on a sequel to it. This one should go even faster. So that's the first blurb I wrote. Now the second book, In the World, I basically wrote the same thing. I just copied it. It was the same thing except for the last paragraph. The last paragraph I altered. I wrote, in 2023, Mr. Leiter published his debut novel, Leaving Home, followed shortly thereafter by the publication of the present volume. At this point, the author is considering starting his own BookTube channel, where he will not only review books, but will share his thoughts about writing and culture in general. Well, I am a man of my word. I said that I was going to start a YouTube channel, and by God, I did it. This is it. So I hope you like this channel, and I hope that it is of interest to you and that I'm not wasting your time. Thank you.